exploring the sea as well, since they have a newer perspective on the game. And here we go. The game appears to be starting, at least for runnerwatcher.
Yep.
And here from the get-go, we get the map of Ganon's Tower, which is probably one of the most useless items in this entire game, sadly. So we're going to have to wait a little bit before we actually gain more information on where this seed actually wants us to go. We're going to see a first pull here from runnerwatcher, and we get bombs. This is the dream.
It's between bombs and red.
And yeah, red rupees as well.
Red rupees, yeah. Those are the two things you want.
It's always great to not have to worry about these bombs.
Yeah, 4 bombs will get you through 100% of that village, Kakariko village, so that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And we find the uncle that had the shield, which is almost a vanilla thing.
Well, it's half of vanilla.
Yeah, half of vanilla. That's good enough. And we only get a little red rupee in the last chest, and we see a classic save and quit into Sanctuary. I'm wondering if
fair.
I'm actually wondering if the players are going to opt to do more of a Julian opener, or if they're going to go straight to Forest for a more classic open version. And it appears that jexreffy is doing absolutely that. Maybe
I would be very surprised if jexreffy did a Houlihan. If either of these players did a Houlihan with the amount of bombs they've started with. Generally speaking, you want to do Houlihan because you're low on money and you need money to get something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the main thing that you need money for is bombs. And they, as we're seeing here, have 8 bombs just to start.
Yeah, which is just wonderful. But in Keysanity, you get a really, really reduced... you get a lot less potential checks to actually earn money before you actually get to the bottle vendor the first time. So
unless this happens, of course.
Unless this happens, absolutely, that you get lucky crabs giving you a little fortune. So yeah, if you were to do a Julian opener and then you realize just how easy it is to actually earn money in bombs in this early game, then you really feel disappointed. You feel like you wasted 1 minute of your time.
I think the Lumberjack looked like it was an upgraded shield, if that's what you saw.
No, it was not. It was a full heart.
Full heart.
So I don't think that he will go to claim it. And here will fall, we find the Moon Pearl, a very early Moon Pearl, which is always a to find.
Absolutely. jexreffy getting to Kakariko first because runnerwatcher went back for more money. We will see if that pays off. It really depends on where the 300s are, and if there's a single 300 in Kakariko, jexreffy not going for the extra money is going to be probably the better play.
It can absolutely pay off since they got the Moon Pearl, because that enables them to fake flippers, and if he gains just a little bit more money, then making that play of fake flippers into getting the King Zora item becomes very tempting. Oh, and we see actually the Cane of Samaria right there in Blind's Hut, and a small key to GT. Oh, and also
gloves.
The power gloves. So with the power gloves and the pearl, and forget everything I said about fake flippers, because they don't actually need to perform that glitch. This is an extremely packed hut.
Chat's saying mitts. I do not think there are mitts yet.
Nope.
Those are just power gloves. But Zora is incredibly in logic. Like, this is the most in logic Zora could possibly be.
So all this money that runnerwatcher spends a little bit of time earning might actually pay off.
It very well may.
Here we see the well, we get even more money.
And a bottle.
A bottle, that's perfect.
Yeah, they remember to check the bottle. boy on the way out. I've
Yeah.
certainly forgotten it before.
And the cape, oh no, that's not an item you want to see in the early game. Usually the sign of an early Aga one, but thankfully it's Keysanity. You also need this 2 small little castle tower keys to actually be able to do Aga one. So Aga seeds very rare to a sight, but still a cape.
When there's an Aga seed, the seed is basically like clubbing you over the head with a hammer, telling you, "Hey, you need to go to Aga," because you have to have a cape, you have to have a sword, you have to have a lantern, and you have to have 2 keys.
There are usually lots of small checks that you can do at the beginning, but at some point you just get completely locked and there's nothing else you can do besides Aga Tower. And here in the bar we get both players earning a little piece of heart at the same time in both different locations. They're actually looking pretty good in this early game in terms of survivability. They're not going to actually be terrified going to places like, say, Ice Rod Cave.
Absolutely. Those crabs are not going to hurt. Really at all. Nothing in library. So boots maybe not coming anytime soon. I do really like it when there's something in library because it tells me, hey, I will get boots this seed.
Yeah, but then again, I'm never really sad to never see boots because I know that everyone racing with me is in the same boat, right? And here we see jexreffy actually making the play to go straight for the race first, which is actually not a bad play. Oh!
That is not what they want to see.
No.
For the reasons I said before.
This is, once again, more hammering on the head that maybe Aga Tower is going to be required. But honestly, the fact that you are forced to do Aga Tower and Keysanity, do you really mind? Because at some point you probably need to actually go there anyway to claim the 2 chests that can be 2 random item locations in this mode.
That is nice. Do you recognize the sprite that jexreffy is running? Because I do not.
I do not either. It's just a little boy. Slightly different from Link, but rowing his little boat to victory. Small key to Mr. Meyer, and we get a vanilla.
Well,
Ooh,
vanilla-ish.
he could have actually taken the road back through the sewers to actually try to get the dark chest. Actually, that would have been maybe a little bit of a problem since he has no magic and his only real weapon right now besides Skin and Samaria are bombs. And killing rats with bombs is not always easy for your player.
Yep.
So we see both players actually going for the damn play at the same time.
I think this seems like the clear play here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're wanting to go use your flippers to check locations, and this is just on the way.
Mm-hmm. Just a classic checking the dam into Minimoron Cave, into Ice Rod Cave, into jumping the water and doing these flipper checks.
The big question is going to be, are they going to be checking Hobo?
Yeah, and the second big question I feel is runnerwatcher going to get his 150 more rupees to be able to afford Zora?
There's one of technically 3 required keys for Total Rock. You can finish it with 3 keys if you skip the vanilla big key chest, or with 4, you can completely full clear the dungeon.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as there's not a required item on the lava chest, then it complicates things a lot. But usually at this point in the seed, it's quite rare.
That's certainly not what you're thinking about right now.
No,
Really fantastic bomb throws for a brand new player.
Yeah, he missed actually killing all the Minimolums in 3 bombs by like a matter of pixels, so it was really impressive.
Those were boots.
Yep. boots, and we have a fire shield, which for new player can also come in really handy when it comes to time to fight blind. Though in Keysanity, bosses are usually more backloaded in terms of routing.
Yep.
But
So
still.
jexreffy and runnerwatcher are gonna I know they have these boots, but they need to be careful. These enemies up here
Yeah.
hurt a lot.
We talked about how it would be like safe for them to actually go up here because of their health, but they're both one hit away from dying, so this is quite stressful. And as we're saying that, Runner Watcher actually making a small mistake, actually biting the dust here. So he might not opt to come back here because it's a long way back, and just a general waste of time if the item is not useful. So he's probably going to route back that in when he finds the flute much later.
Looks like he's checking bonk rocks, which seems completely reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I were him, I would take that whirlpool right there to get where he just was.
Yeah, it's usually not necessarily something that people remember. Oh, it appears that he's making... Oh, he's actually doing the pull for more bounds, but sadly the price pool changed, so he's not going to get his wish. Making a smart use of the crabs to get more money in order to get a little bit closer to being able to afford Zora, which might be one of the things affecting his routing right now. He wants to make one trip there.
That seems completely fair. We're checking Hobo, and we have a map. Not useful.
A map of Hyrule Castle. That's the... We got
other,
a map of... We got the other useless map. And here Runner Watcher finally getting his money for Zora. That might actually be a big thing in the early game. If there ends up being an important item on Zora that is really required for the early game, then jexreffy is going to be in a big world of hurt trying to farm money.
Yep. Nothing useful on the island.
No Compass. Well, it's nice to have your item count, but it's not the thing that no one ever really needs. It's just a flavor thing. Oh, and we get the hammer in the waterfall cave.
So that
we
is
have Dark World
officially
access?
Yeah, Dark World access, and no need to do AGA.
Nope. But that tower though, it might taunt.
That does have one downside. These runners are not going to be guaranteed a sword, because if you did need to do AGA, a sword would be required.
And jexreffy making the check on the Zora ledge and only finds a single arrow, sadly. He's not going to spend the extra minute to claim it.
Which is completely understandable.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't know anyone that would spend a minute for the memes.
No. Especially in a tournament setting like this.
Absolutely.
Here we see jexreffy making the Sashrala play probably into Eastern Palace, since there's not that many locations left before Dark World. I actually want to play safe and try to get as much as you can before going into more dangerous areas. And Runner Watcher is going to show us if King Zora ends up being a really good play this seed.
Looks like our green pendant is Skull Woods.
Which can be a nice thing for these players, because the Malfala can be quite terrifying sometimes. And green pendants... There's always a possibility the Malfala might not even need to be killed in this seed. But usually you need to pretty much kill almost all of the bosses in Keysanity.
Yep. Nothing important on Zora, so all of that time that Runner Watcher spent clearing, getting extra money is just right down the drain here. And he will only get it back if jexreffy decides to come back to Zora.
Yeah, but it might be a thing that is going to worry jexreffy a lot during the course of this seed. Is going to...
Absolutely. Runner Watcher trying to do a hammer dash. It should be noted that you cannot hammer dash unless you have a sword.
Yeah, it's a little intricacy of this game because it's coded very well, of course.
Yes.
One of my favorite things to rip how little sense all of the glitches in this game make. But it's great, we love it. And we get the Hype Cave. Are we going to see nice items here? We find a map to Mittermeier, that is nice. Some arrows, we get a small key to Pod, that's also really good. And small keys to Pod are really nice.
Small keys to Pod are fine. There's 6 of them. It's possible to do it with only
4
full clear if you have the right items. 5 if you do not have the bow and arrow. Mittermeier and Thieves Town are 5 and 6 crystals.
Interesting. So we have the entire left side of the Dark World map that is the special rewards from dungeons. That is quite funny.
Yep.
So we have a really massive routing divergence here, and really our first one besides the small light word checks. Another small key to Ganon's Tower.
Jexreffy told us that he was brand new to this, but he performed that room perfectly.
Yeah, his execution has been quite surprising to me right now. And we see actually Runner Watcher getting his first key to Castle Tower. Now the second key is not going to be meaningful in any way, but the first one actually enables you to actually get the second chest in the Castle Tower, which means that you can just straight up go claim both items in one go. So that might be an interesting play for him, just get that out of the way.
I am a little surprised that neither player has gone to escape yet. They might be waiting for a mirror so they can do escape and sewers all at the same time without having to death warp.
I believe that what happened is that they were waiting for a weapon, right? Because no one really wants to do escape with just bombs, since it's a big waste. And once they found the hammer... sorry?
No, go ahead.
Once they found the hammer, Runner Watcher decided that Hype Cave plus a lot of overworld checks in the Dark World be worth it, more worth his time, I believe. While jexreffy decided to just make the other play that's equivalent to escape, which is Shrada into Eastern. And as we see right now, that's exactly what he's doing. He's done one of the 2 plays, and he's going for the other one. And the Runner Watcher, now that he actually did that Dark World check, now he has the Castle Tower key, so he's going to be able to route all the 3 different branches of the escape together in one go.
Very good routing here.
Might even see a sing between both players very soon.
Runner Watcher doing a very good job of just taking damage, which is kind of weird, but very much what you want to be doing.
Yes.
On your way through here.
Since they do not have the mirror, they need to set up a death warp to be able to get to the next locations in this area quicker. So, yes, taking damage here is actually a thing to be praised for. jexreffy going through these rooms a little bit faster, but he's not setting up his death ward quite yet. So he's gaining some time. Oh, the small key to Swamp Palace. That is amazing to find.
Runner Watcher just leaving that key because it is a useless key.
It is. Since they did the backup escape, the only purpose of that key is to separate the dark chests in the sewers to the 3 chests in the back. They will literally never cross that door. And here Runner Watcher needs to be a little bit careful. Okay, he's going to set up that work with a bomb.
Yep.
At this point, you do not take risks. You don't want to have to walk all the way back here for 1 chest. That turns out to be nothing, basically.
Yep.
And both players doing the Death Warp, and both of them going for the Dark Chest.
We're certainly going to diverge again, probably with Castle Tower. That really just depends on what Runner Watcher, if Runner Watcher decides or remembers to do it here. Or even remembers he actually has that small key. It would surprise me if he didn't, but still.
Since he decided to go right here after finding the key and doing the catfish check. Oh, we see a big key, the big key, Desert Palace. That's also quite a nice key to find. Oh, and we see Runner Watcher setting up the Death Warp, confirming that he's going up the Agate Tower.
Absolutely. So we do not yet have access to Desert Tower yet, but that big key is you always want to have as many big keys as you can.
You're always happy to see these big keys. Yes, absolutely. And now jexreffy may be going to go to the Dark World from Village of Outcasts.
Just happens to be checking Dark World locations that his opponent hasn't checked. Yeah,
he didn't do
Bonk. It does make sense. Yeah, Bonk Rocks and then into that makes a lot of sense.
It's a really nice thing for runnerwatcher that he has the hammer for these rooms, because these guards with just a level 1 sword can be quite annoying to deal with and time consuming if you do not know the proper techniques.
Oh no, he's going to Death Mountain, it looks like.
Oh, that is also a potential play, but sadly without the hookshot or the hammer, he is limited to two items and 1 check.
Without the hookshot or the mirror, he has the hammer.
Oh, I said hammer? I meant mirror. Sorry.
I mean, we could get vanilla mirror here. That'd be fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So now Runner Watcher actually appears to be making the play that I was talking about earlier. Oh no, he's going to Death Mountain as well. Oh, this is quite interesting. Both players sticking to the light wall as much as they can. Absolutely. And honestly, doing this is not necessarily like that big of a time loss, because if you don't find the flute...
Oh, if you find something amazing like a flute here, it certainly pays off.
I was going to say that if you don't find the flute, actually going up here and unlocking the ability to save and quit up the tower is not a time loss. But since the flute was here, this was not a time loss, it was forced.
Absolutely.
So, all is good.
Nothing important on top of Spectacle Rock, and nothing important inside this cave.
But they have a flute, which is going to simplify Overwatch checks a lot, and that actually might make Runner Watcher go back to check Ice Rod Cave, since he took a death earlier.
Absolutely. The big thing that this flute does is it is literally on the way to Thieves Town.
Yes. So activating it is not a time loss. And it's also faster access to the desert, so if we find desert access items later, it's going to make those plays much more interesting. Agona's Cave might become a decent play on top.
Absolutely. We're just waiting on the mitts or the book to be able to really finish, or do most of Desert Palace. Only the 2 right side locations will be unavailable.
We need the mirror. Is the mirror?
Oh, mirror for the mitt.
Yes.
Yeah, or just the book.
Absolutely. So we might find the mitts, the book before. I mean, and here jexreffy making the play to actually go Darkwall. And I'm actually wondering if he's going to go Skullwoods or Thieves Town direction first.
I personally like the Skullwoods play first, because that lets you very quickly check
quite quick checks.
Yeah,
and
check the bumper cave real quick, and then allows you to oh, that is not what he wanted to do.
Nope. Absolutely not.
jexreffy having a little bit of trouble with a B that came out. Looks like he's opting not to go into Skull Woods and instead going into the Village of Outcasts and probably eventually Steve's Town just to pick those first 4 chests up.
Which is fine. One of the crucial things as a new player, I feel, is to know your limit and not over-ambition on your capabilities. If you feel worried going to some place, maybe you should just wait.
Wait until you have a little bit more
Confidence
on
on the item
maybe
required.
mail upgrade.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the early Skullwoods play is actually quite nice, because even if you have to revisit the area, going to the back is really quick if you already did all of the other checks. It feels long to get there, that's because in normalcy, you just get everything. And also jexreffy in the Village of Outcasts actually finds the powder.
And he completely pieces out and does not even go into Thieves Town, which is an interesting play.
Yes, since the first 4 big rooms of Thieves Town gives access to 4 chests are actually quite fast item locations, and even if he doesn't have the mirror, he can just set up a death warp on the way to those chests to be able to just respawn at the door and just keep doing his Dark World checks.
With you having green mail, those red dinosaurs will do 2 hearts of damage by running into them. And we have the mirror.
Oh. I keep mentioning items and they appear within 15 seconds. This is interesting.
This is a very quick seed, I'm gonna say. Having both boots and
it's a mobile seed.
It's a very mobile seed. Having both boots and
the flippers.
Flippers and the flutes are the if I had a list of 3 items I wanted at the beginning of every seed, those would be at the top of it, even over a sword.
Huh. Interesting. I never really mind not having them because, like as I said earlier, everyone is in the same boat, right? So if I can go fast, no one can go fast, and that's all good.
What I really like about early mirror is that it's possible that my opponent did not check the same places I did, so I might be going fast while they're not going fast, which is really what you want.
Yeah, mirror is a really critical item if you want to get a lot of item checks in the first pass. And we get the map of Thieves Town from runnerwatcher, but sadly we already know that from jexreffy's check earlier. Or no, it was him that did the check. Yeah, runnerwatcher made the check and knew that Thieves Town already is a red crystal.
Yep. It was definitely runnerwatcher who did it because he did it while when he did this hype cave that jexreffy is doing right now. runnerwatcher doing the play that I had suggested earlier, which was just this check into the north of Thieves Town.
He will be rewarded for this.
Absolutely. Because he does have the cape. Bumper Cave is accessible.
We'll gain one of the medallions, but actually, because of video quality, I couldn't actually get which one of the 3 medallions it is. I think it's Bombo, so I might be wrong.
That's what I saw as well, but we could very easily be wrong.
Let's see. Oh no, it is Ether.
It's definitely Ether.
A very nice medallion to have if you want to kill things really quickly. It's much quicker than the other ones. Sadly, making that early play is kind of... It's creating a thing that is often a big problem in Keysanity, which is you want to make as many location checks as possible, the most efficient way possible. You don't want to orphan locations. So the northern route to Lightwall Hyrule now only has the Graveyard Cave and King's Tomb. Everything else is checked. So that makes these locations not very attractive for him to come back to. Ooh.
Jexreffy taking a death. Runner Watcher doing the checks that I had suggested, or that I think we both suggested. They haven't paid off quite yet, except for the Northern Light World check. Is he doing Houlihan here? Yeah, he is.
Huh. Interesting. Remember when you were surprised that one of them would do Houlihan? And here we go. Oh, Runner Watcher taking an early death into Thieves Town, but thankfully it's not actually a big issue. It's going to respond the door.
Yeah, absolutely. What I was more surprised about was that Runner Watcher wasn't doing Houlihan and was electing instead to get the money a different way.
Yeah, maybe he just doesn't know the setup, which is a perfectly fair thing. It's not exactly the most intuitive thing, you just need to know how to do it, and that's it. And we get a vanilla compass for Thieves Town. Oh, and the mail upgrade, which might have given jexreffy confidence to do other things later. That he actually missed on the path.
Absolutely. I suspect Runner Watcher is going to go south, get his mirror, and maybe even go all the way back north if he can.
Yeah, maybe just try to get the two locations I was talking about earlier that were orphaned. With a mirror, you can get both. You don't actually need mitts if you mirror out right next to the grave. So that would be a pretty good play, especially since Runner Watcher actually already did Hype Cave earlier, so it doesn't have that many checks to do at the bottom. He has the grove check, and he's going to be able to check the cave south of the grove, which has a really stupid name.
That cave south of Grove is called Cave South of Grove, as far as I'm concerned.
It got renamed officially to Cave 45, and I hate everything about this.
It is going to be Cave South of Grove in my mind.
Yes.
Forever and ever.
Thank you. Whereas jexreffy actually making the play that he skipped earlier, the Skullwoods play. Meanwhile, Runner Watcher with his mirror going to check the two locations, check the cave south of Grove and the Grove, probably.
The big question is where he's going to go from here, because the map is a little bit open now.
Yeah, they could absolutely go back all the way to Tower of Hera and then do light Death Mountain. This is absolutely open by the hammer and the mirror. That would be a pretty solid play in my opinion.
Mine as well.
Because besides that, there's not that many attractive locations to check. They cannot enter desert. He did not do Eastern Palace, so he could do that. Oh, and that's absolutely where he's headed. Oh, from Pod?
That makes a lot of sense. Being able to check the first few chests of Pod and knock out the Eastern Palace checks is efficient routing. So I really like this play. I am all about the efficient routing.
Sadly, I think they only have one small key to Pod, maybe two. Actually, it's so difficult to keep track of these pod keys.
I believe they have two.
They have to, okay.
Alright, we're going to be we're going to see how many they have in just a moment anyway, so.
Yeah, absolutely. At the same time, he's going to make his checks for Sashrana and learn the location of the green pendant.
That is an interesting use of red potion there.
Indeed.
Maps and maps and maps.
All of the maps. Collecting maps is nice and all, but really all you really want to know is which dungeons you don't have to do. And by the process of elimination, you just end up learning, okay, what do I need to focus on?
Yeah, all you want are the maps to the pendant dungeons.
And the maps are usually not that critical. Like earlier, we were talking about the single arrow on the Zoro Ledge, but if it turned out to be a map, would it even be worth it to try to go claim it?
Absolutely
I don't
not.
know.
Absolutely not.
Exactly. So maps are nice items if they're convenient for you to get or you just happen to stumble upon them, but they're not really worth the time lost just going to claim them for the information. You can gain your information in different ways.
And there's a confirmation that they do have 2 keys to Dark Palace, and he is going to use one to this front door, which means that 5 keys will be required at least if he knows Hammer Jump to complete this.
Or all of them if he doesn't. Now the question is, oh, and the big key to Mizurimar. It appears that the logic is nudging them quite nicely towards Mizurimar. I think they have a small key for it, they all have the big key, they have Key of Samaria, they have the boots to clear the entrance. All they really need is the mitts to actually get to the door. Oh, Fire Rod! Now that is an amazing find by Runner Watcher.
So Fire Rod means Skull Woods is now completable.
Yes, it is the green pendant, so it's not necessarily a big waste of time. It's basically 2 item checks plus the pendant that's going to translate to a third one that can be turned in the next time he's going to visit Pod, because he's basically going to be forced to do so, since he can't get that much in his first pass. Yeah, as soon as they find the Titansmiths, they might actually be able to enter Mizurimar right away and full clear it. And sadly, jexreffy on his way to Bumper Cave actually takes a death to the really, really annoying enemies there. He took 2 hearts of damage.
It looks like we're going to have a Hammer Jump here.
Ooh.
I'm excited.
Meanwhile, jexreffy actually making the Death Mountain play, which is also really good. Oh, even the 2-bomb setup. I like it. Is he going to have it?
That's very close. That looks like it.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. First try. And sadly, he is rewarded with a message reminding him that he doesn't actually possess the big key. So he's going to have to do it again.
Or just skip that chest. I am of the skip that chest school of thought, personally.
It'll depend how the seed develops.
Yep.
jexreffy, we don't actually possess either the small or the big key to Tower of Hera.
That is a lot of maps!
Ooh, boy.
So, it looks like Swamp Palace has the possibility of being a pendant.
Yes, we have dungeons 4, 5, 6, 7, all crystals. That massively increases the odds of the Lightward dungeons being simply pendants, which is never a really nice thing to hear, since they're usually the easiest and less requirement dependent dungeons to clear.
Yeah. All we're really... one of them is guaranteed to be a pendant. The question is, are 2 of them going to be a pendant? They did get Swamp Palace small key, so that is actually not something you really want to see if Swamp Palace is a pendant, because it is a check you just don't want to make.
No, but honestly, since they have the flippers, it's actually a decent check, honestly. Just
That is 10 locations if they have
the hook shot.
hook shot,
Mhm.
and 6 if they don't. So it is a big deal, and it is completely open to them right now.
Hmm. But of course, if they have other locations that make sense, they're going to want to wait for that hook shot to actually go there. And jexreffy taking another that in Spiral Cave. Sadly, that is a long way to go back to where he was. But there's so many items, he cannot make a different play, right?
I don't think so.
Nah.
That's 7 items if I recall correctly.
It's 7 items just in Paradox Cave, and you're going to find one more into Spiral Cave
so
that he's going to have to do again. I think that one of the massive things that's hindering him this seed and maybe causing a lot of his deaths is he doesn't have the sword to actually push back enemies away from him. Which might actually be a reflex that he has. It's just like, oh no, I'm about to be attacked, just push that button. Oh wait, nothing happened, I got hit.
Yep.
It sounds a bit goofy saying that like that, but it certainly happens sometimes. You just feel into pilot, just like, oh no, whoops, I don't have the sword actually.
And that's just probably just an artifact of not being used to this mode and not being used to not having a sword. I
Absolutely.
know that I've really enjoyed playing swordless. The big thing that swordless taught me was, honestly, if you just have a hammer, it's probably a better idea to just leave these enemies rather than trying to kill them.
Yeah, and it also depends on your attack angle. The hammer has an absolutely horrendous hitbox if you're attacking northwards. Oh,
There's
but
red
coming back was absolutely worth it for jexreffy. That Riddle Mill is going to work wonders through the rest of this seed.
Absolutely. Let's see what Paradox Cave has to give to us.
It has to give something decent, right? Because we're running out of options besides the big
All of
swamp.
Swamp Palace?
Well, not
Well,
all of it. There's
more than half of Swamp Palace. That's 6 locations.
6 locations, yeah. And then later they come back for 4 more. It's basically that, right? Unless I'm forgetting somewhere. They cannot enter ice.
North of Dark World, we're still
Oh yeah, those 2 checks.
open.
Mhm.
Finishing Swamp Skullwoods is open.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it appears to be what runnerwatcher might be headed towards, since
Well,
he
I
has
mean,
the far rod.
it
That
is
in
on the way to
finishing,
North Dark World.
yes, is a pretty good play to just finish Skullwoods into checking north. This is really good routing. Sadly, you cannot fit the big chest with it, but you can't really choose. And we have one more key to pod. And sadly, that's all.
Yeah, but if jexreffy holds off pod long enough, he might be able to do the entire dungeon in one go.
The problem is that we know that the fire rod is really easy access and might actually be required to access a lot of other things in this seed. So it's possible that he might not be able to keep pod into a single dip.
I'm gonna hold my judgment until we have confirmation that that's the case.
Absolutely.
Fire Rod, all it really does is opens up Skullwoods.
Ice Palace. We don't have one.
Ice Palace, yes, but like, despite the fact that everyone and their mother knows the Ice Palace bomb jump, the logic does not assume you need it, and we haven't gotten any keys, we haven't gotten the hook shot, and we haven't gotten any real indication that Ice Palace is required. Ice Palace dip is required.
Absolutely, but the seed is still young. It has time to develop, and it ends up being. And Big Key. That's a really nice find. It's the one to Thieves Town. Ooh.
Thieves Town is now completable.
Except the big chest in the basement, which is quite annoying.
Yep, that is, I would say, the #1 location in a dungeon that I don't check. I don't end up checking simply because I don't have the small key at the time.
Oh, yeah, it's one of these gamble locations. Some love going back for it, some hate. We all have these another big key, the one of Eastern Palace.
Northern Northern Dark World paying off with 2 big keys. That is a big deal.
Yeah, this is quite insane. So if jexreffy actually delays his check for quite a long time,
That's
that
what
might
he's
actually...
going right now.
But yeah. I've seen some people forget quite easy locations to check before the...
I mean, he's here. He may very well forget King's
Yeah.
Tomb. It's very easy to forget, but
I do
based on
not
where
wish
he
that
put
upon him. Yeah.
based on where he put that that mirrored location, I doubt it very much.
Runnerwatcher going straight back into Thieves Town to try to kill Blind, which is actually going to be quite an interesting blind find with no sword. They're going to be forced to use a hammer or Cane of Samaria.
Cane of
Those are
Samaria's
always
strats
interesting fights.
It's fun, and it is a lot easier than I think the average person thinks. I actually have better success with Cane than I do with the fighter sword.
Oh, I personally don't. I'm too used to using the sword. When I'm forced to use Samaria in some swordless seeds, I'm like, how do I do this? How does it work? And I just wish I had a sword instead. But yeah, once
put
you
it
use
somewhere and run away.
Yeah.
Let the fact that it is a hitbox on the ground that Blind can hit do its work for you.
The one thing that is interesting, though, is that the item that Blind gives upon his death is actually not in the logic until you find the Thieves Town small key.
Is that true?
Because it is entirely possible to take the key that you are usually going to use to do what runnerwatcher is doing right now, going upstairs and bomb here. You could take that key and go downstairs and open the door to the big chest.
That's interesting. Does the logic also account for stealing the key from the second part of
Desert?
the
Absolutely.
desert? Yeah.
Absolutely. So sometimes it's actually potentially a thing that you want to do and actually wait until those the small key pops up to know that, okay, clearing this dungeon is entirely in the logic now, it's worth my time, rather than gamble and might have to come back later. But those are like varying depending on the playstyle of the player.
Yeah, I am of the feeling that you only need to worry about the logic required to complete the dungeon if it is a pendant dungeon.
Yeah. If it's crystal, you have more incentive to
break the logic.
Just get the crystal, because especially in Keysanity, you don't want to worry too much about things that you do not end up having to do. Some dungeons end up being entirely worthless or unnecessary.
So let's see this. He looks like he's doing... Oh, no.
Oh, it's the Cane strats. They're here. It's a good start, and the fire shield coming in handy to just block these fireballs. I think he does possess a blue potion, so he has backups in case the fight gets too messy. So I'm not too worried for him. Oh yeah, he's going to pop his red one. He also has a blue one, I believe.
He has a blue one, but the Cane of Samaria takes basically no.
He only has one more hit to go, so...
Yep, it takes almost no magic, if we're being honest here.
And we only get 20 rupees, sadly. But he does get his first crystal, which is also a red one, so this is quite valuable. If they get early access into Mr. Meyer, it's entirely possible that progression item could be found into the Fat Fairy. Now, is jexreffy going Thieves Town as well? I believe so, since he doesn't possess the Fire Rod. So it's going to basically do a carbon copy of what runnerwatcher has been doing in the past. You know, runnerwatcher actually going desert, checking the desert last and Agonas Cave, which is a location that's been skipped for so long. It might have to pay off. That or Swamp Palace.
So easy to skip this location.
Is so unattractive when you cannot do desert or cannot couple it with Mire checks.
Yep. At this point, I think if this doesn't pan out, Swamp Palace seems like it's between Swamp Palace or Ice Palace, or they've got to go into a dungeon.
They cannot enter Ice Palace. They don't have mitts.
You're right. So and Skullwoods they can finish, but Swamp Palace has
one of them can finish, and that's not where he's headed. He's going to do what jexreffy did earlier, which is the check of Tower Herald, the first item into Paradox Cave and Spiral Cave. So he's going to find his red mail, but not much else, if I remember correctly.
There was a Dark Palace key, but
oh yeah,
not that big a deal.
But it doesn't exactly help him now. Oh, that is also a location that we forgot. So easily forgotten, Spike Cave. But with the cape is completely in the logic. The cape and balls certify that. And we'll see if that check pays off because it's so easy to forget. Oh!
That is a very nice item, though not required to finish the game.
Not required, but when you get into specific dungeons like Turok and Ice Palace, you are really happy to find that, to have that, and be able to just spam. And it feels like, oh well, if jexreffy never ends up here and does everything fine, then runnerwatcher basically just wasted a minute, right? But that minute is easily savable just with fire rod spam that you can do when you have that item.
The only thing that Spike is required is bottle and an immunity item, or if you're playing a one-hit KO, a immunity item is always required.
Yeah, absolutely. So after that, are there other small locations that we could have forgotten? I'm wondering now. Haki was done. We saw Agatar Bow Chest. Oh yes, we got the Eastern Palace Big Key. The scene might be trolly and might force a triple dip of Eastern.
Let's hope against that for our players and hope for that for our viewers.
Well, most of the viewers, they get really hype when seeds have really trolly possibilities. Personally, I wish nice things on players. I'm also a player. I've been there. I want this stuff to happen to me, so I don't wish it on others.
Oh yeah, I certainly would never actually wish this stuff on players.
And we see jexreffy also opting for Kin Samaria for his blind kill, and so far performing really good. He also spent the time earlier to go back and buy an extra blue potion, so also he's not going to be too worried about how this fight's going to turn. He just needs to drink it in time when he feels too pressured, and not even going to need it. And he also claims his first crystal, which is a red one. Runnerwatcher not finding much, and sadly upstairs not going to find much more value, except for a small key. jexreffy also opting to check Agonas Cave, which as a player, it's never a location that you really want to go for early game, but
I can understand really not wanting to dip into dungeons that you either know for a fact are pendants or cannot finish.
But at this point, honestly, in Keysanity, you do not worry about penance, just because you kind of want to have a shotgun approach of as many locations as possible as fast as possible. And right now, basically, like, we see runnerwatcher pausing, having to think where his next move would be, because I don't think in his mind he really wants to go swamp, but in my mind that is absolutely the thing that must be done.
Not where he's going though.
As swamp, he has the eastern.
Never mind.
West.
Maybe it is where he's going.
Yeah, he changed his mind, because I genuinely cannot think of that many more locations left. Until we find these myths, we do not have access to the Mire area, we do not have access to Ice Palace, we do not have access to Dark Death Mountain, though even if we did without the hookshot, we don't get 3 of the items in the hookshot cave. But still. We were talking about the seed being very mobile, but right now, the lack of myths is really limiting his mobility. They can run and fly everywhere really quick, but they have nowhere to go. So until they find like just one item that's going to enable them to make a small divergence. Like basically, the one divergence item that they have right now is the Fire Rod, and runnerwatcher is not opting to finish Skullwoods. Partly probably because it's a pendant, but in Keysanity you do not have. You must not have the mindset. Yeah, he also doesn't have a sword, but with a hammer, you only need 4 hammer hits to kill Muffala. So
you can't get to Mothula. There's a.
I'm stupid. I am officially stupid.
I'm stupid too. I only realized that when
yeah,
I had someone in chat mention it.
Of course. Yeah. Oh, I'm done. Okay. Now the routing makes absolute sense. So yeah, the Fire Rod not ending up too valuable so far then. Though we did get our first key to Ice Palace earlier. So that location's warming up, they just need the myths.
Myths, and with the bomb jump you can basically clear everything but the big key of Ice Palace.
Yeah. And also, like, some people might be worried that, oh, you don't have all of the required items, you don't have all the keys, you don't have hookshot, so... oh, the location's probably not in the logic, right? But with King of Samaria...
We know it's a crystal.
Yes, but with King of Samaria, you can actually access Cold Stair quite easily with just a simple key. And in the race that I actually did yesterday, turns out that Cold Stair was holding a hookshot. Oh, we get our first sword in Swamp Palace, and we see runnerwatcher making the dance of his people, celebrating his fine 57-minute sword. That is quite cool for any seed, really. And just like that,
not to check the back half at all.
He's going straight for Skullwoods?
He might be.
He might regret this. There are so few checks left.
There are 3 items in Skullwoods, if you include the fact that it is the green pendant.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's worth it. But there's also 2 items left in Swamp Palace, and you're right there. And yeah, you're going to have to go upstairs, fall to get one item, and do it again to claim the other one. But you're right there. And overall in the entire world, there's not that many checks left. So if if Skullwoods ends up not actually paying off, he might have to come back here immediately.
And the big question is which of these runners' moves is going to be technically the right one, yeah.
And yeah, this is where we can see maybe the first big divergence. Though,
other than the fact that not having the Fire Rod.
Yeah, absolutely. So that might prompt jexreffy after that. Like, he has options. He can go pod, and he has 3 keys, so he's going to be able to do an extra check over runner watcher. But maybe he's just waiting for that 4th one to know that he can clear everything.
That is,
I
of
also
course,
need the big one.
assuming that that jexreffy does know the hammer jump, and that is one of the harder tricks in this game.
But honestly, so far, his play has been impressing me enough a lot that he absolutely could be able to do the hammer jump. I wouldn't be surprised. Especially since it's one of the tricks that is hyped a lot for players in this tournament, that it's kind of a must-know almost. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually open up the book and learn.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
And soon we'll see which play is the better one. Both plays might actually be good, which would probably hurt runner watcher more.
Yeah, if both plays end up having something, then runner watcher skipping left side is going to be a big deal.
But he did get an advantage. Oh, beast rats! We have beast rats for Muffala. The big flying enemy being defeated by the small puny one.
I was not aware that Mothula could take damage from beasts.
Yes, it's not that much damage, but it's cute.
It's probably fighter sword damage, and I completely missed if anything was on the left side. Looking at our tracker, I do not see anything important.
He actually got the mitts.
Oh, he got the mitts!
He got the mitts.
Runner Watcher got the mitts from...
Yes. No, jexreffy got the mitts.
Okay.
There's a bit confusion from our tracker, but yeah, jexreffy actually found the mitts, which means that runner watcher will have to come back to Swamp Palace to claim them. Oof. That is what I was worried about.
Yeah, jexreffy really in the lead now with that.
And jexreffy finding a small key to Thieves Town. So that's also a thing that you don't want to necessarily see right away. Though he can route that check while also finishing Skullwoods later.
Did we see what medallion is required?
I did not catch it, but our tracker conveniently selected Eater. And we see a small key into Checkerboard Cave, which is a small key to Skullwoods. Sadly, not a thing that is necessary whatsoever. Only one is nice to have to skip having to go to Pinball Cave, but they already went to this location. They were never going to be near that room anymore.
So, looks like Runner Watcher is going to be required to do a triple dip into Swamp Palace because of that skip earlier.
Absolutely. And now he's actually making the play to go to Eastern Palace just to open the big chest there. He feels desperate. He doesn't want to learn that his play would turn out to be bad.
I think
he does have a green cannon.
He's already checked Sahasrara, which was nothing.
So he turned one check into 2, which is better. But he will have to triple dip unless the bow turns out to be in this chest and it'll be a completely vanilla bow, which would be quite a troll.
Either the bow or the hookshot in this chest would save him, because the hookshot would mean that he can go back to Swamp Palace and finish it in one go, and really not lose all that much time, to be honest.
Yeah, that will redeem him, really. And here we see what he gains. He gains 50 rupees. That's not what he wants to see. Oh, and now he's just thinking, oh no, he's having a bad trip. The Smith gives a key, and which gives a small key to Skullwoods once more. Sadly, once again, not what you want. But jexreffy actually could enter Misery Mire. He only needs to actually go claim his Eater medallion from Bumper Cave. a location that he actually died to earlier. I don't
thing I
actually
am
remember if he saw the medallion or not.
I don't either. Oh, he has to go up here to get this because he died when he was trying to get it the first time.
But I don't know if he knows that Eater is straight there. But he's going straight there, so he must have seen it. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, this is worrisome though. With the lag, it's so difficult to fight properly. Oh no, no.
He might be feeling not that great right now, but
No.
he's still
in the lead technically so far.
still a little bit in the lead. Yeah.
Sadly, and also that's a thing. No, a thing that he could have done is simply to pull out his cape. You are worried that he's going to die, pull out your cape, just go invisible, then you can lift the rock and enter the cave safely. But usually in moments like that, you don't really think of your safety items like that. But yeah, he absolutely wants to go inside Misery Mire and full clear it. He knows he can full clear it. It's a lot of items. I think it's like 8 items in there. So he's probably thinking, well, if my opponent did the same thing that I did and actually got the miss as well, then he's probably inside Misery Mire right now. So I need to go there right away. Because jexreffy also has the added stress that he actually died quite a lot, so that's time loss after time loss that accumulates. So he probably feels behind right now. He's not as behind as he thinks, however.
So runnerwatcher has bombos, and I have no idea where he got that from. Like, what did he check that jexreffy didn't check that we saw?
It had to be Skullwoods, right?
I suppose. So Skullwoods would have been. It would have been. One of the chests in Skullwoods.
Yeah.
That'll make.
Someone in the chat actually caught it.
Yeah. Oh, that'll make Ice Palace easier, certainly. But it won't it's not necessarily required unless that item is required for to get into Turtle Rock.
Absolutely. But like medallions, you collect them, they're always nice. Don't worry too much. Remember the little dance that runnerwatcher had when he found his sword? I'm wondering what the dance will look like when he gets his mitts. I'm actually impressed that the boomerang actually flew over the crystal without hitting it.
I saw that. That was interesting. You can do this, Jex.
Yes.
There you go.
Nice. Jex expressing his frustration by the way of spending some of his bombs. Yes, he has so many he can spare, but I love it when people spam bombs for no reason. I do it all the time. I love it. And now he's going to go straight to Misery Mire.
Which is, maybe he's gonna go straight to Misery Mire.
Or maybe not. Where is he going? He doesn't actually have a fire rod.
He didn't do
Purple chest?
He didn't do Peg Cave and Purple Chest. He wanted to. I assume he wanted to save that for when while he had Ether.
Oh yeah. Doesn't really save anything to have Eater before or not though. He just didn't want to have Eater be orphaned as a single location. Which is a noble goal, but it doesn't really save time, it just makes one of the plays less attractive. They want to go back, but like, one way or another, you're making a second trip. And we have runnerwatcher finding his myths and flinging his sword about, really frustrated with his play. And now he must be the one feeling behind. We have a big key from jexreffy, getting his big key to Swamp Palace. So as soon as he finds the hook shots, he can just finally finish the entire dungeon, not have to worry about it. The big
So
chest sorry, go ahead.
that slowness in his routing hasn't. He's checked a lot of overworld locations that Runner Watcher has checked, but didn't check. But as far as I can tell, it's not necessarily the case that he's going to need to go into those locations.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's seriously convenient. He turns in the purple chest and he only gets a quarter of a heart. Is going to flute again, and now he's going to make the Mara play finally. Which is a noble thing, to want to make as many small location checks as possible before you go into dungeons. But like, if you just get a little more HP or a sword upgrade, then yeah, it helps fight Vitreous a lot. Sadly, it doesn't actually have information about the Light Lord dungeons.
So if you're here, do you do Mire first, or do you do Desert Palace first? Because both are open.
Personally, I do Mire first, because I know I can full clear it. It's entirely in the logic that I can full clear it.
Do they have the Mire big key?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
I am 95% sure that they do. And Mire is one of these dungeons that you do not actually require a small key to full clear as well. So right now, it's a no-brainer if you know, oh, that's a big key on the torch. Which dungeon is it for? Turtle Rock. That is a very nice find. For Turtle Rock is a crystal dungeon after that. That was the go mode item of my race yesterday, so I'm happy for them that they found it much earlier. And the ice rod, wow.
He's going right, despite the fact that he cannot do anything over here.
Yeah. Oh, he realized his mistake. All good. And now he's going to go to Misery Mire, I believe.
So that's Turtle Rock.
Oh no, he's going straight to kill Landmolas. And once again, like as we said earlier, killing Landmo is not the logic until you actually find a small key, because you could like smuggle the key that he just used. He could have used it and go back inside the dungeon and find the 2 checks. That's actually a common thing that people do, because it turns one item location check into 2 basically, and it's a 50-50 gamble. It's just about getting a crystal or not.
What I like to do personally, I've said this before, is kill myself.
And we have both runners in the same room right now. This is
with the small key. Yeah, this is very interesting. Kill myself with a small key, save and continue, go and check those extra locations just in case they're important.
Yeah.
And then come back later. But that might not be the best idea here.
Let's see which player performs better into Vitreous. The Runner Watcher's best weapons are Fire Rod, and jexreffy is the Ice Rod. We'll see if he's going to opt for it. Oh no, he's going to do some hammer strats. Which is also pretty good. And also, most people are not used to actually employing the Ice Rod, so they don't necessarily want to risk it. It's more awkward than the Fire one.
There are, and it looks like a Landmo is only a pendant dungeon, which, I mean,
yeah,
statistically, this was going to happen.
Absolutely, but you still need to kill his bosses because they're an item location, and you need so many items to be able to finish the game that you can't decide to be picky. Absolutely. And also, if it turns out to be a pet seed, then they just conveniently have a medallion. A pendant, not a medallion.
Like, Ped is very much in the cards here.
Yes. The only thing that sucks for them is that they don't have the book to actually know.
I'm ready for a required blind Ped check, aren't you?
Oh, I'm absolutely hyped for it. I live for these moments. I don't wish pet seed upon people. I'm not an evil person, but if you give me a blind pet, well, yeah, give it me.
Are we going to see a bird toss?
Mm,
Not required,
we'll
but a lot of fun. And watchers love to see it.
The bird toss or the bird crush? Oh, it's a toss! And bye-bye, the bird goes. Runnerwatcher actually saving a lot of times in the sink thanks to the fire rod. Oh, a big key. It's a big key to Skullwoods. So that's going to make jexreffy's next visit to Skullwoods only a single trip once he finds the fire rod. And there might be value in that chest, so that might be convenient for him, while runnerwatcher might not be tempted to go back for only that location since he finished the dungeon. But yeah, runnerwatcher blazing through these rooms where you need to light the torches much faster than jexreffy is going to be able to do, since he only has the lamp, so he's going to have to do all these block pushing puzzles. But that room, plus the other room in the floor before, plus the room right before Lenbo's, those are a lot of small little time saves that these fire rods granting him.
Absolutely. And
And
there's the book!
That is absolutely lovely, and if I were him, I'd probably turn that key to Skullwoods into a pet check at the same time to make it.
That makes perfect sense to me. Absolutely.
And jexreffy is actually going to have the dream of finding his fire rod. Maybe no. Well, it's actually. Does he want to go Skullwoods next?
Where was
or does
the
he want
fire
to
rod?
wait for his fire rod? The fire rod's in pod. He has yet to go inside pod. That is the one big element of this race that puts runnerwatcher at an advantage. He might actually triple the Skullwoods as well if he goes to check that big chest into pedestal right now. So far we don't find really interesting checks in this dungeon, sadly. But it's not over yet.
I think the most interesting thing about this dungeon is going to be the boss here.
Yes.
Like, they do not have the tools to defeat this boss really very easily at all.
Runnerwatcher has the tools. He has a cape, he has half magic, and he has a blue potion, I believe. He has everything he needs to kill Vitreous without that much pain. It's just the last phase that really sucks. And he ups out, no, he bails. He actually bails out.
You gotta know your limits. Fighter sword
Yeah.
is not something you want to be doing, necessarily.
I respect that. But the only problem is that the logic could absolutely force a low weaponry, we'll call it, Vitreous fight.
Well, in the meantime, he has 2 bottles. He can go fill them up. He can do these checks. He has a book. He can check to see if pod is required. Not pod, pet is required.
And he didn't do all the overworld checks that jexreffy did thanks to his nets. And also Dark Death Mountain is legit. Both players that you have to go there.
Yep.
Runnerwatcher with a really nice bump jump and a big key to Tower
of Hera.
So now the trip up Death Mountain just become a lot more attractive.
And that is, I would say that's a 33% chance that Tower of Hera is the last pendant. So we're about to see if it's a big deal.
Yeah, and you'd still clear it anyway.
Oh, absolutely. But, like, if it's a pendant, and pet is required, this knowledge of pet, whether or not pet is required,
It goes straight there.
is going to be a big deal, yeah.
Well, jexreffy is going to have to actually maxim out the quicker scale. Quake is on ped.
Quake! We are going to have to hold off on whether pet is required for a little bit longer.
Runnerwatcher is shaking in Turok to not be opened by Quake. He has the other 2 medallions. back.
And I
He's
don't
going-
think he realizes that it's actually probably better for him if PED is required.
Yeah, that would absolutely put him in the lead. All because of that early fire rod from that pod dip. But right now, even if on his mind he was not worried about Torok's entry, going to that mountain, clearing most things in Tower Hera except the basement that he doesn't have the small key for, and oh yeah, he can check either tablet. I forgot about that. And it's only one full heart. He might not come back for this.
I think with 14 hearts,
Exactly.
no incentive to do that. However, jexreffy very much has an incentive to do that where he is right now.
Yeah. Runnerwatcher found a lot more health than him. And jexreffy going straight to the warp for Dark Death Mountain.
Well, if it's Ether, then he can jump into Turtle Rock right now, which is going to be very good for him, I think.
No, not quite, because it doesn't have a fire rod. Which is like 2 early checks that he can do.
It depends on the number of keys he had.
Oh, it's Bombos. The
Ped
pet dream is dead.
Yep, no ped. No ped at all.
Rip. Oh well. Now we can wipe down a bit. Relax. And we're going to see one check from the hookshot cave. Whoops. Sometimes
me
doing
a
these
long time.
yeah.
To learn this
one-
particular.
The first one in Ganon's Tower, still have trouble doing. And he gets his riot shield, which is quite nice. It's really nice when it comes to time for laser bridge. Everyone's comfortable going through the lasers without actually having a safety. And the Runner Watcher actually getting a small key for pod off of Muffla, and he gets a crystal.
The bow was in
He found the bow.
a super bunny cave.
This is actually...
This is exactly where Runner Watcher is going right now.
Yeah,
Let's be clear.
I don't know which player it advantages the most. jexreffy is going to have the bow for his first dip into pod, but he didn't have to go in Eastern Palace 3 times. It's going to be twice. It's going to be able to full clear it. So jexreffy, by finding that bow, saved himself more time than Runner Watcher.
So, if you're Runner Watcher, like, even not knowing that there's important stuff in Dark Death Mountain, you still check, right? You still check Dark Death Mountain before jumping into pod, right?
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Since you can just clear it.
Yep.
You can clear, you do. And apparently, chat's notifying me that Runnerwatcher might have the hookshot. We might have missed that.
I did see he does absolutely have the hookshot.
Oh, I missed that. Oh.
It was in Hera, but like...
It's a beautiful find. That means that he can full clear Swamp Palace. I believe he has the big key.
We need to check big keys. We need to know, because...
Yeah.
With this bow, Runner Watcher is in item go mode.
Absolutely. The rest of the items are not necessary, they're just fetch quest items or extra safeties.
The big question...
You want these silvers at this stage, but you get them or you don't.
I lied.
Actually, he needs a Master Sword.
They need the Master Sword to be able to even damage.
But the seed is still young. Both of them only have 1 crystal. There's ample time to find a sword upgrade. But yeah, it's a normal Keysanity thing.
There's
Most
a sword
items are... Oh,
upgrade.
well. That came quicker than we thought.
So let's go. Ice Palace is completable. Mire is completable. Turtle Rock might be completable depending on small keys. They definitely have the big key to that.
Yeah.
Swamp Palace is completable. Pod, I don't know if they have the big key for that, and it is very possible
Do not.
But we know that pod is definitely a crystal.
Yeah, I believe so.
So all we're waiting on is the big key to pod for go mode.
And also, I confirmed that runnerwatcher doesn't actually have the small key to swamp, the big key to swamp, I mean. So it might actually delay his next trip to it. But that key is absolutely findable.
It's
accessible because jexreffy has it.
Yeah, but swamp big key isn't required to finish the dungeon.
No, but it might be an element that delays his next trip to that dungeon. He can finish it, but as long as he's not in go mode, he's actually thinking about his routing to not orphan locations too much. It really depends on dungeons, and it's attractive, then he's going to up for those first, and then delay the things that he can't full clear for later.
jexreffy going to finish Eastern Palace. We're going to see whether or not this is the elusive
Pendant.
Pendant, or
Yeah.
our last pendant is Swamp Palace.
And he's getting betrayed by the upwards hammer hitbox. What a shame. Runnerwatcher in one of the most frustrating rooms in the game.
It took me so long to get used to how to do this run without taking damage.
Honestly, people are really, like, new players are afraid of the rock.
It's because of this room.
It's just this room. Because the rest of the dungeon's not really that scary. It's just that room gets people from full HP to almost dead. But thankfully he has powder, so he's going to be just fine. Now, if you're jexreffy, what is your next play after this dungeon? He's going to have to go to pod, right?
Yeah, it's got to be pod. Pod is really the... Well, we know that pod has to be the play, but the question is whether...
Also, yeah,
whether he's comfortable with the number of keys he has.
As Zertanil pointed out in the chat, for jexrefy's first race is absolutely amazing, and I personally did not perform that well my first try.
Okay, we now have, unless I am remembering incorrectly, we have confirmation that Swamp Palace is our last pendant and pod is our last crystal. So they may never go back to Swamp Palace.
It's still 4 checks. 5 checks. It's 5 checks.
It is 5 checks.
Which might be attractive later when locations really start drying up, and when they start having the choice of, okay, go back in Thieves Town to open that big chest, which they can, or just go finish Swamp Palace, they might just go finish Swamp Palace.
It is the quote-unquote more efficient play.
Yeah. More efficient doesn't always win, but it puts the odds on your side.
jexreffy, because he held off on Swamp Palace for so long, doesn't have to open the front door.
He gets to save a key, but at the same time, runnerwatcher actually finding a small key to pod in the Mimic Cave. And jexreffy, sadly, only has 3 keys to pod, and doesn't have the big key. So, all in all, he's pretty much going to check the same locations as a runnerwatcher, except he's going to actually be able to open up the Harmless Hellway and also the Vanilla Big Key chest. And really, depending on if there's value in these chests, that might put him at a small advantage or not. Also, he finds a shovel and a small key to Ganon's Tower. Not exactly what you want to see. Those keys are usually really low-key, if you pardon the pun. But
no, I will not pardon the pun. But I will commend it. That is a commendable pun, sir.
Thank you, thank you. But yeah, like usually you don't worry too much about getting sour key because you basically need a seed that rolls you with the GT or other locations like that. Other items like say the hook shot if it wasn't required, the bow, like these items. You need, unless access in Ganstar requires that. Oh, jexreffy didn't actually have the big key to Mr. Meyer. Oh, I thought he did. So that's where we saw it happen. Oh, the silvers in an easily accessible location.
Oh wow! So Vitruvius just got a lot easier.
Yes. Vitruvius is now a joke, and he knows it's a crystal, he knows he can full clear, he can go kill Vitruvius at any time now, and it's not getting any easier. So, and he knows he needs to do it. So his decision of earlier to just bail quickly, it just got validated. It's better to just bail and come back with silvers, and the time to go the backtrack into the dungeon is not that huge. So he's just going to save so much time. And we get the Firehead has already fallen for Runnerwatcher. He's doing great in that fight despite only having a Master Sword. Usually this is a fight that terrifies a lot of people for a very long time. But he seems to have done the technique to actually deal with Trinex rallying problems.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well.
Also, we need to wonder about that shovel. Is jexreffy going to make the play to actually turn it quite quickly? That might actually end up being valuable. Also, he needs to go back to Tower Hero to claim his hookshot. Oh, was the big key tower now in the big chest of Mar actually?
No, the big key to Tower of Hero is in the big chest of Swamp.
No. No one opened it.
Runnerwatcher opened it when he went to check
In
Pet.
Swamp?
No, not Swamp.
You said
Skullwoods.
Swamp.
Skullwoods.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Skullwoods. Okay. Oh, and jexreffy doesn't have it yet since he didn't have Fire Rod. Okay. So jexreffy's routing pretty much becomes at this point kind of obvious to me of go finish Skullwoods. He's going to find that key to Hera and then he's going to go kill Moldorm. He's going to find his hookshot. And after that might shape him towards going Swamp or Turrock. He can go Turrock.
Yep.
No, he can't. He doesn't have Bombos.
No, he doesn't. He has to go to Skullwoods.
Yeah. Well, Skullwoods is actually going to give me Bombos, so he's going to be fine at this point. So yeah, he's going to have the choice of Turrock or Swamp Palace.
Or Ice Palace, which is where he's actually going.
What? Now that's interesting.
Well,
He's reconsidering, but he's also going into a weird location, I feel.
He can do most of Mire now. He hasn't actually dipped into Mire yet.
No, he did. He was in Mire earlier. He also left.
Right, he was.
He left because he didn't have the big key, so he couldn't open the big chest or kill Vitreous. But he's going straight for Vitreous, basically. Because making this play just for the big chest and leave again to come back later to kill Vitreous is quite ballsy. So he's just going straight for it.
So Fighter Sword Vitreous coming up.
He has a hammer. And
he does have an hammer. And a
It's
cave.
not going to be an easy fight by any means. And I respect him for making that play. I really hope for him that it's going to pay off.
I hope that too, but I'm not...
The only problem is that we know it's not going to pay off because we know that Runnerwatcher is going to do that fight in seconds, while it's going to take jexreffy more like minutes.
Yeah.
So, like,
Even if he
I
has a
respect
perfect
him for the
pity.
play, but it's not the correct one. It's just a shame because we know that. And not having the hookshot actually makes that little walk there kind of iffy. Oh no!
He did it though.
It was not. Oh no. No, I'm confusing myself. I said nothing.
Skullwoods. Skullwoods.
Yeah, Skullwoods. I'm confusing all the dungeons, all the keys. Imagine if there were 4 runners. Oh, I'd embarrass myself so much. I'm sorry, chat. And we have a really clean fight for Runnerwatcher.
Yep.
And he claims his no, it's third. Third dungeon.
Yep. I feel like he's going to. Yeah, that's. That's his 4th crystal. I feel like we're going to get 2 more crystals very quickly from Runnerwatcher.
Yeah. He can just go straight to kill Vitreous right now. But he's actually opting to make another pot dip. We still don't have that key, that big key. But
this
he
does
wants
make
to
sense. He has a lot of small keys to this dungeon.
He can basically make all of the other checks that he didn't earlier. He's going to have to hammer. No, he can't do it yet. He doesn't have the big key. But yeah, later on, he's probably going to have to hammer you up again. But odds are at this point, this seed, or absolute go mode item, might be the big key to pod. So that's just going to be completely redundant at that point.
It's going to be either the big key to pod or the big key to Ganon's tower.
We have yet to find it. Ooh.
We might be playing the Ganon's tower big key game.
This what I was talking about earlier. The seeds where you get trolled that you enter GT and you still need to go on the lookout for that key might actually be the case. Also, yeah, jexreffy has 37 bombs. That is way too many bombs. He needs to do something with them.
Yeah. They're burning a hole in his
pocket. You can throw bombs at Vitreous.
Yeah, of course.
You can throw bombs for days. Please do it. Please do it.
Doesn't seem to be what he's doing, and that does not damage.
You can't do that. That might foil. Maybe if his strategy was to use Fire Rod right now, he might be entirely regretting his decision. Oh no. This is not going the way he was planning for it to be. Oh, I made a pun by accident. I hate myself. Yeah, this is... Hammer Vitreous is a very difficult fight. For a new racer,
Vitreous is a very difficult fight for anyone.
I do not expect a new player to be able to do this. So, but... That mistake of not knowing that Farah does not damage Vitreous kind of explains...
it explains the dip.
Yeah, it explains his decision, and also he's going to have to learn more about the Vitreous fight, which is a thing that most new players need to learn. That you can actually use the bombs to do quite decent damage to the eyes. It's not
decent damage, but it's safe damage.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, you're going to be able to dispatch all of the eyes without really taking any damage. And sadly, okay, we finally get the confirmation that the shovel item is nothing, which is a shame. And jexreffy actually going straight for the same check, it appears. And also going to be disappointed. No, Runnerwatcher making that Ice Palace play?
I mean, this makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
I respect him checking the shovel locations because it is a very easy location to forget. But Ice Palace directly into Vidi makes a lot of sense.
But why would you not do Vitreous first?
Because you have 2 go mode items, so you need or even if you do Vitreous and get one of them, you're going to need to do all of Ice Palace to find the other one.
It's just that, well, he has the opportunity of getting a crystal plus one item check that he's going to have to do anyway. It's not going to be any faster, so he may as well just have it done right now and not have to worry.
If he's going to have to full clear Ice Palace anyway, it makes sense. It makes sense to check Ice Palace here, because Ice Palace is not the worst dungeon in the world to have to full clear.
No, but it's just that everything that he's going to have to do in the direction of Mr. Meyer is going to have to do it anyway. He's just pushing it later, but he's not going to save any time towards that afterwards.
I can see what you're saying. I think it's slightly better to do Vitreous here, but I do not think it's necessarily the worst idea in the world.
Well,
to be doing
it's not a matter of worse or not. It's just he's going to have to do it anyway. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Everything he has to do with Vitreous, he has to do no matter what.
And it's not going to be any faster.
Correct.
And his progression could be on Vitreous, so why do you not do it now?
I see what you're saying. I can understand.
You have literally zero
play.
downside of not doing it.
I can see the play that Runner Watcher is making. I do agree that the play you're suggesting is actually better.
But yeah, like, he's going to have to do ice anyway, so sure. But if you're thinking in absolute terms, at this point, you literally lose nothing not doing Meyer first. Well, he cannot, yeah, it could also enable him to go mode ice later.
This I don't really agree with. He could have done the right side of Ice Palace very easily.
Yeah.
And there is a small key on that right side that would have allowed him to go this way into...
Ice Palace routing is kind of a real headache for most people, so I cannot blame him for taking convoluted path, as long as he's comfortable with them and does not risk taking a death in the dungeon or like forcing himself to do bomb jumps that he's not comfortable with. Like, anything really works.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, Ice Palace is like 9 different paths, which are all correct depending on the item placement scenarios.
Yep.
Jexreffy being uncomfortable, making his check. Oh, and he learns the presence of Quake on the pedestal, but he actually knows that he doesn't need it. What he's looking for is bombos. And happily, he's going to be about to find it.
We have another location is another small key. It's a Misery Mire.
Sadly, that doesn't help his routing at all. You don't actually need...
Go ahead. Yeah, you don't need any keys to finish Misery Mire.
And the same goes for Ice Palace. But finding the keys help indicate whether or not these locations are in the logic or not. And he actually finds a vanilla Ice Palace key. That is quite a troll in Keysanity, since you kind of want to wait to zip ice until you have the big key, because going back really sucks. It ends up being important. But wow. And the big chest only gets money, sadly. So I'm going to go towards this Cold Stare fight. So basically, unless Cold Stare gives something in the way of progression, I think this Ice Palace visit has been a complete dud, I believe.
Basically, yeah.
So that puts that gives jexreffy a little place to gain some time later if he turns out to be able to go mode Ice Palace. And
But
we have with the Fire Rod.
Yeah, very, very clean, very, very easy
Yeah.
Cold Stare.
And turns out Cold Stare only had a lot of money. Therefore, Ice Palace ends up only being a location that's interesting for its crystal. jexreffy has some dungeons to catch up to, however. And so, like, one of the things that ended up affecting routing the most actually ended up being that early pod dip, that Fire Rod. That Fire Rod really gave runnerwatcher the edge in routing.
Yeah, I would agree with that, absolutely.
And it was because of the way the other items around Skullwoods developed. Skullwoods giving bombos, which enabled them to route in Turok perfectly, and also on that same visit, he actually got the big key of Tower Hera, so it just gave runnerwatcher a straight line of easy things, easy checks to do, get the hook shot, go in other dungeons, and that was basically the key thing of this match, I believe, so far.
Does runnerwatcher not realize that he has the Mire key? Mire big key?
I think he doesn't realize it. I at this point, I really don't know why he's not going to Mar. And he's going to get his big key to Swamp Palace. If he goes to Swamp Palace now, that clearly shows that he doesn't know about the fact that he can clear Mar. But yeah, Mar right now is quite the no-brainer. You get a crystal. Yeah, you only get one location, but you must do it. At this point, despite this, runnerwatcher is still in a pretty commanding lead.
Yeah, I agree. Like, he's ahead by
a few dungeon visits, sadly.
By 3 crystals.
Yeah. And it was really all about that Fire Rod, I feel. Nothing else really had that much of an impact. It just shows how much one item, one check that you didn't do early enough in Keysanity, how much it can completely affect your efficiency of clearing locations. And like, the Keysanity to me is 100% about efficiency. And there's a little sprinkle in luck that can just simplify things. But you don't want to rely on luck, you just want consistency. And you get consistency by checking basically everywhere as fast as possible. And runnerwatcher actually gets to check Bombo's tablet, which is the location that I don't believe jexreffy did. Especially since he can't, because he doesn't have a Master Sword. That would make sense, right?
I mean, he could check it just to read it.
Yeah, it's not worth the visit. Unless you chain it with purple chest, and at that point in time, he didn't have the book. And you find a small key to GT. Once again, not a thing that is really... that he really wants right now.
I don't know what's going on. I think runnerwatcher might either not know that he has the big key to Mire, he might have missed...
What if he thinks that he needs a small key to Mire, and he doesn't have one?
Well, he definitely has small keys to Mire.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't anymore. He used them. At least, well, when he opens inventory, I didn't see any.
That's
what if he
possible.
thinks that he needs one?
I think the more likely thing is that he mismarked his
His personal
Swamp
tracker.
Palace as a crystal.
Oh, it's possible. Oh, I see. It's possible that he thinks that Mr. Mire is a pendant.
That's what I'm guessing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that you make this play is if you either think that you can't do Misery Mire or nothing there, man.
Yeah, sadly, he's playing a bit on memory, muscle memory right there. I was realizing, oh yeah, I've been here before. But yeah, this match isn't over until the GT Big Key shows up. We could be on quite a wild goose chase. Yeah, and the pod Big Key.
Like, we might have a double dip into Ganon's Tower for a completion of a pendant dungeon.
What if the mushroom turn-in is the GT Big Key and the mushrooms in GT?
That's possible.
Yeah.
Are there any other trolly things that could be?
Fetch quest? Not really, actually, because we have most of the items to check most locations. We have a green pendant turn-in already done. We know that Quake is on ped and that's useless. So yeah, that would be mushroom in GT. That would force.
Are there any small key locations? They have the Thieves Town small key.
They have the Thieves Towns one. They can do it now. Oh, Tower Hera. They don't have Tower Hera small key.
So Tower of Hera small key could be in there.
Oh, that would be evil.
There's the mushroom.
There's a mushroom. So there goes one possibility of evilness. I seriously don't hope that. Oh, Tempered Sword. Now that's nice.
Just in time to do this this fight fast.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
I get the feeling that jexreffy's avatar is from a Earthbound game.
I don't know enough about Earthbound.
The bunny sprite is a Earthbound thing, essentially.
Oh, I see.
It's him in like all black and in smoke.
Oh, we have a really clean August fight from runnerwatcher.
As to be expected with Tempered Sword, of course.
Sadly, his visit into Swamp only nets him the mushroom, which could be required.
It could be required.
And it's a fast turn-in with the flute, so he could go immediately to do that. But he doesn't have that many locations left. It's like the TT small key, Misery Mire, and I can't think of many other things.
He's, to be honest, he's so far ahead. I'm not sure it's not going to make all that much of a difference.
Yeah, he has quite the lead. He will have to make many blunders for jexreffy to catch up, to be honest.
Either that or the required big key location has to be in a very strange place.
But at that point, he checks so much of the game that it's not that much trolly at this point. And he cannot have a massive fetch quest from GT. It's entirely possible that the Ganon's Tower big key is actually inside Ganon's Tower, and actually, I think location-wise, with what it remains, the odds of it being a vanilla GT big key is extremely high.
Let's talk for a moment about the fact that, based on that check, runnerwatcher forgot he had the big key to Mire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he used it and then
Ugh.
forgot he had it.
That is not a thing that you want to happen in a race. But its Keysanity is so difficult to track everything, and I don't know about his personal tracker. He might not be using a key tracker, so he just forgot. Things happen, and that explains why he went to the ice play, into other overworld checking, to the swamp play earlier.
So the big things that have not been checked are Thieves Town Big Chests, Fat Fairy has not been checked at all.
Yes, and they're going to be able to do Fat Fairy after this location, since the second red crystal.
Jex has silver arrows. He is going to be.
They both have.
As long as both of them know that silvers are make this fight super easy, I do not think they're going to have any trouble at all.
I think he does, because that's the only change that he has compared to his last visit. He doesn't have a sword upgrade yet. And yeah, he's making... He's turning Vicious to Joe with 2 arrows, and that's good enough. And let's see what you get. We get just a compass for Desert Palace, very useful. Oh yeah, we have the Desert Palace that has not been completed. We have still yet to find that small key, right? Or has that been done? I forgot.
No, we still don't have that small key.
Well, we don't have it, yeah. So there is that location as well that has not been done. So at this point, where does the runnerwatcher go? Thieves Town?
It's gotta be Fat Fairy.
Fat Fairy and Thieves Town Big Chest. And are there actually other locations that he can even do? Turn in Mushroom.
Turn in Mushroom makes sense, yeah.
At the same time,
also refill his. He can also refill his potions here.
And at that point, the seed it's just going to have. It's just going to be his last refill. It's never going to have to come back here again. And get a small key. It might be the small key desert. No, pod. We want a big key to pod, not small ones. At this point, doesn't need small ones anymore, I believe. And jexreffy going to be the first to actually get the Fat Fairy checks in. But runnerwatcher going straight for that as well, since he's pretty ball-necked at this moment. Another interesting item that we have yet to find is butter. Where is the butter?
I mean, we might not find the butter sword.
Yeah, we might not.
Whereas we will definitely, before the end of this, find the big keys to pod in.
We might actually get to play the GT big key game.
I am hyped for that. I don't know about you.
Of course. Nothing, and the other check. Oh! Progressions in Thieves Town.
I can't think of anywhere else that it could be.
Me either.
That progression has to be pod big key.
They're blocked everywhere else. Where is jexreffy going? Did he not? Oh, did he not do the?
He hasn't done the tower yet.
Yeah. Okay. This right there. How long ago could he have done the tower? From like 20 minutes in the seed, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Something like that.
It was a long time ago.
We're now almost 2 hours in the seed. It's a big Keysanity trap that people forget about this location so much. And if it turns out there's progression in it, they don't have fun. He does find some health, and I actually generally forget what the other item in the tower is. But at this point, can he not go straight to Hera and find his hookshot? I believe he has the key.
He definitely can.
Yeah. So that will be his next progression. Yeah. Okay, and now we know why runnerwatcher has so much more health than jexreffy. It's because of those 2 hearts in that location they had yet to check.
They're tied up on health now.
Jexreffy going straight for Hera. Having to know that is the way to go. Maybe he was delaying Hera still, just because he wants that small key. And the small key just never came. Which is a honest gamble. I'm excited to know which progression item is in there. But at this point, it has to be the pod big key, right?
It could be a small key to Desert Palace.
The small key, okay, it could be the small key desert, small key to Hera, or pod big key. Those are the 3 options, and I can think of nothing else. Place your bet in chat now. I'm betting Hera.
I'm betting pod.
Okay. Let's see what we get.
What?
Pod wins. He is functionally in Crystal Go mode, but he's still on the quest for the GT big key. So it's not quite there yet, but it's really nice progression. Better to find that than a small key for Desert or Hera that ends up being purely a fetch quest to find the pod key. So now, from now on, the seed is quite linear. The way to the end for runnerwatcher is really simple, because we basically just named the location that remains. There's nothing else that remains. So we have 1 location in Tower Hera, we have 2 locations in Desert, and
we have 22 locations in GT.
Yeah, exactly. 22 locations. So where do you think the GT big key is?
Type 1 through 22.
No, 1 to 25. We'll say 23 is Hera, 24, 25, the 2 chests in Desert.
That seems fair.
Put your guess 1 to 25, because as far as I can think, that's the 25 locations remaining for that. Unless it's in the big chest of pod. Oh. 26.
It could very well be in the big chest.
What if it's in there, he bails, he goes to GT and he finds nothing?
I think if you're here, like
you're
here, you check it after the boss fight, because not only getting to that big chest is annoying, but getting to pod is annoying.
Nah, look.
And you're already here.
Nah, you don't do it, honestly. Because it's 1 check versus 22 in GT.
Yes, but if you're going to be forced to do those 22 checks in GT, you might as well do this check real quick anyway.
I don't know.
Yeah, we very clearly have different different routes that we use to go through this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because checking pod here is 100% the type of thing, like...
Oh no, jexreffy! He takes the fall through the shame hole.
That is the 2nd time he has fallen through that hole.
Oh no.
That is not a gamble worth doing, in my opinion. That is, as I would say, an inefficient gamble.
I believe that as far as gambles go, 1 versus 22 is totally worth it. Totally worth the time save. But that's just me. And if a 1 versus 22 gamble loses me a race, I'm fine with that.
There is Buttersword.
Well then. Let's see, jexreffy having a little bit of problem with Moldorm, but being a little bit hasty with hammer usage. He's almost there when it comes to hitting. It's just a matter of pixel. Another clean hit. He just needs one more to finish this fight.
You can do it, jexreffy. I believe in you. I believe in you.
Yeah, with the way he's displayed this race, I entirely believe in him. Oh no. And the more you fall, the more frustrated you get, so the more hasty you actually become with your usage. And now let's see if I would have lost this race or not. And we see runnerwatcher doing his second hammer jump. This time doesn't actually need to do a setup, and I would have saved a minute.
We'll say 30 seconds. Let's be real here.
Eh.
That is, it did
45.
not take that much time.
Yeah. It's the small gambles like this that end up paying off. So now he's going straight into GT. And now we can resume our 1 to 25 game. It's a bit more than 20 seconds. Small hierarchy in GT and GT big key in hair basement is entirely possible. Which is why we can play the game of guess the location of the big key. The chests are 1 to 25, and we'll say that 23 is the Hera chest, and 24, 25 the desert ones.
I think the general thing we do is do it based on the number that the runners run into. And it does make sense for a runner leaving GT with a small key to Hera to check Hera. But they might not be leaving GT with a small key to Hera. They might be leaving it with a small key to Desert Palace.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that like a specific number was the chest itself, but explaining why there's 25 numbers and not 22.
Anyway, put a number in chat. You have until we go into GT to guess a number. If you don't want to guess a number, you can guess a specific location.
For once, we can actually play this game in Keysanity. This never happens. I entered my own number in chat. I went for 18. You went for 17. Ooh.
I always go for 17.
I'm actually the one that decided to diverge here. So remember when we were talking crap about the small keys to GT?
Yep.
They now matters.
Oh, they all matter. They all matter. Every single one of these matters.
They usually don't, but suddenly they're valuable. So we have location 1, that was not the case. Yeah, that one boot jump, I have so many problems doing it consistently, I don't know what I do wrong, but it's just not good.
2 is nothing, 3 is nothing. 4 is nothing.
Is
and 5 is...
Yeah.
This seed. Holy goodness, this seed.
This is fun. I would have had fun playing this. It's just like chill, full clear everything.
But like, PED sort of may be required. Like a lot of things in this seed were very.
We were
mean.
on the edge of our
I'm gonna
seat
say mean. Yes, we were on the edge of our seat the entire time because of the seed.
There were stressful moments. We just had suspense, right? No real massive screw you troll, just suspense. And I like that.
And let's see the Ice Palace bomb jump.
Yep. Positioning looks kind of good. Oh,
I don't know
right in time.
this.
I think he had it, but he moved.
Anyway,
and he gets
6 and 7 were nothing. We are on 8.
People tuning would probably confuse. Why are they playing this game? They're playing the Keysanity. That makes no sense. And 8 is nothing, 9 is 20 rupees, 10 is also 20 rupees, and 11 is also 20 rupees. We just got Aghanim stash right there.
Yep. Aghanim's pretty poor, it seems.
Well, crime doesn't necessarily always pay. Do you know what you do if you want to get rich in that world? You just grab one item, you hide its identity, and then you go in the lake. And sadly, 12 is also not the item. We'll see Silver Arrows do short work of the Ice Armos, though not without any minor difficulties. Ice navigation, always kind of a pain.
He seemed to do
Yeah.
not terrible.
And we
Anyway.
get the Cane of Burna.
That was 13, 14, 15, I think?
Yes.
So now we're at 16?
The next check would be 16.
Yep.
And that check could have been the first one. 16 nothing. 17 net.
Nothing.
That GT Big Key really hiding deep. Is it Tile Room?
I don't know, but we're not gonna find out yet.
What if you fault clear the basement and all that remains is Tile Room and the 2 dungeon small key checks? Oh, that would be quite a thing.
I mean, you do Tile Room in that case.
Oh, absolutely. You do Tile Room before leaving. Just the time spent there, if it ends up being correct, it's not a time loss, and you spare yourself the time to actually reascend that mountain. And he finds it in chest number
21!
21. If you have claimed 21 in the chat, you are the grand prize winner for tonight.
And you win!
The satisfaction of a guess well done.
Yes, a guess when you did not expect to need to be guessing. Good job.
And sadly, it appears that no one in chat actually won. But
So sad.
But guess who's closest? It's me. I win.
Closest without going over. There was at least one person who guessed 22, and we do not play those rules. 22 is good enough for me, I think. All right,
Did someone guess 22?
I could have sworn someone guessed 22. Apparently not.
Oh. Maybe someone guessed like really earlier and I missed it the first time we were joking about it.
Apparently
oh
not.
Well. Oh well.
Nope, you're the winner. Good
I
job,
win.
Corality.
Hooray, I feel so validated. And that is the last we'll speak of validation this fun.
So, as it happens, the dip into Swamp Palace didn't end up being mattering because
Not at all.
he was going to check Swamp Palace before checking here for this big key anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we throw around the term 100% in this game a lot.
This is pretty close to 100%.
This is pretty close.
It's as close as you can reasonably be without it be absolutely 100%. Because like, okay, we can actually count the amount of item locations left. There was 1 in GT. It was Tile Room. Or like 2. Yeah, it was 1 left. It was Tile Room. The 2 chests in Desert, the 1 chest in Tower of Hera. That's it.
No, there are 7 total locations in GT that he did. Sorry, 6 in GT. He's probably not.
No, but
check
it's tough. I mean,
if we're talking 100%,
in regard to earning Go mode, because like 100%. When people speak of 100%, they don't really consider the Tower Ascent, right? It's just it's
all
everything before.
All they mean is 100% of not end of GT Tower.
Yeah, 100% of possibilities of chests that you really want to open. And at this point, he has absolutely no reason to open any of the chests anymore. He has butter, he has red mail, he has silvers.
He has
doesn't
half
need
magic,
anything.
he has everything he needs.
Huh. Like, what's the one thing that he could desire from one of the chests? Like, getting the Century Heart for full health refill?
No.
Getting a
He's
potion?
gonna get a full heal here. A potion
Yeah.
might be worthwhile, but...
So basically, before he found his GT Big Key, there were only 4 locations left for it. His real Go Mode item. That's a 99% seed in my book.
That's pretty high.
Yeah.
And checking the validation chest, that is very nice, and
here we get the map of Eastern Palace. He's going to be able to learn that he's going to get the crystal in that dungeon now.
That's important knowledge, let's be real.
Yeah. You need the crystals to be able to enter Ganon's Tower, of course. Anyway, moving on, we're going to see an Aga fight. I wish him a lot of triples and doubles. We'll see how it goes.
There's a double.
Here we see another double. It's quite nice. Only
Would've
one
been a
more.
triple if it weren't for that blue balls, but here we go.
And there we go. Only the final fight to go. At this point, I don't actually know if he has potions or not, but he might not need them at all. He has
gold sword, half magic, and well, half of his magic. He should be fine.
He has well enough magic to be able to deal with the last phase, and also, sorry, go ahead.
He definitely picked up a potion when he was did the mushroom check before he went into Aga's tower, into Ganon's tower.
And he had no reason to actually use it, basically. So he must have it. So he feels pretty comfortable in this fight. Just play your own game, don't think too much, and everything will work out. As long as you don't get trolled by the fire bats. But I think he managed to one-cycle it. Yes, absolutely. Yep. This is what you want. And now the rest is pretty much played by the book. You just hope that Ganon doesn't annoy you too much. But even if he does, everyone gets the same rolls for the first attempt, so...
I think runnerwatcher is incredibly annoyed by really everything about this seed. He's...
Oh, absolutely.
He is taking his frustrations out on Ganon.
And he has to. Oh, he has to be careful. Oh, okay. That was he actually got a torch glitch and stopped Ganon from spawning on top of him, which could have propelled him down the pit if he were not careful. So this is quite good and really nice timing on that shot, and the quick double into the kill.
Very clean Ganon fight here.
Extremely clean fight. He has to be proud of himself for this one, and very soon he's going to pass the door. The game is going to fade to black, and right there,
that is runnerwatcher has finished in first place with an official SRL time of 2 hours and 17 minutes and 24 seconds. Good game, runnerwatcher. Let's see if we can get him in for an interview.
Yeah, absolutely. And I already agreed that he will come here for an interview. He's just preparing for it. In the meantime, jexreffy just going straight for the Argus fight. I don't know why, but I always forget Argus' name, and I always hesitate need to think, wait, what's the name of this eyeball boss this time? He only has the Master Sword and not the Temper Sword, so his fight's going to be a little more difficult than runnerwatcher had.
Still better than Fighter Sword.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Fighter Sword's actually not that much worse, since every spin hit double. So basically, you need one spin per puff. which doesn't really eat that much more time than doing 2 normal swings of Master Sword to each buffs. Basically the equivalent, I feel. Maybe Master Sword is a bit quicker. We're going to see with the finisher for 1 silver arrow, and that is a beautifully shot arrow.
jexreffy has switched between like very amazing fights and knowing a lot of very interesting weird tricks and just dying in very random places.
Yeah,
He definitely impressed me with what he's done in this seed, despite being a little bit behind.
and that's the thing. A little bit behind is literally what it is. It's the Fyra that gave runnerwatcher big lead. And the rest of the seed for jexreffy is pretty much entirely linear at this point.
Hello, runnerwatcher. How are you doing after that seed?
I'm doing okay. I think I was in the wrong channel, so I should apologize to everybody in the other channel. Yeah, that was really bad.
Your seed, it's not was bad. I believe that things ended up routing not that bad, kind of. But it got to the point that there were so little locations left that we actually played the GT Tower game, and we just added extra numbers for the locations in the other dungeons that could have been possible.
Yeah, I don't know if I had any locations left in other dungeons. I think I full
Tower
cleared the game
Hera?
except for...
There was Tower of Hera small key and the small key for Desert Palace that
Yeah, so
had it.
must have been again its tower because I didn't have those going again. I think I would have checked them at that point because I was just...
Yeah,
I made,
and you didn't find them.
They must have been upstairs.
They had to be
or
in
one,
the
one
tower
of them
itself.
was in tile room or somewhere.
Yeah.
Really huge mistakes. One of them is that I think I forgot I had the Meyer big key. I must have gotten it in Meyer.
Yeah.
I double dipped Meyer and I went to open the big chest and I saw that it was already open. And I was like, what did I...
You
somehow,
were, yeah, looking for that key.
It was really strange. And the other thing is that and got the sword. I was thinking of going to the left side, which ended up being where the myths were. But somehow in my brain, I thought that hookshot, I could only check one of them. But obviously you can just go down and back up the way I ended up doing. So like, I'm not going to go all... but somehow not having the hookshot made me think that I was almost done with the dungeon, which is obviously completely wrong. I made a lot of like huge mental errors like that. Obviously, it was a bit of a trolley seed anyway, with like the Thieves Town big key being in Thieves Town.
Yep.
In the
we were wondering about why you weren't going directly to Meyer.
Yeah, because in my mind at that point, you had silvers, and it's just, well, we know for a fact that Meyer is going to be a crystal. He can go straight there, and there is nothing you're going to find that's going to make things any easier.
No. I went straight to my... The thing was, like I said, I forgot that I had the big key.
Yeah, exactly. We were wondering why you were not doing the second visit to finish it.
Or it wasn't even that I forgot. I never noticed... Where was the Meyer big key? Do you remember where the Meyer big key was? Was it in Meyer?
I forget where it is. It was not in Meyer.
It was not in Meyer.
It was really early in the seed, I believe. It was one of the first big keys we found, maybe 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
So what happened was it actually was in Swamp. I did some item switch in Swamp, and I looked at my menu. I don't know if you guys might have noticed, because I think I kept my menu open for like 5 seconds just staring at it. I noticed that the big key was marked under Meyer, and I was like, what the heck am I doing for the 3rd time in Pendant Swamp?
Yeah.
I've been in here 3 times. Why didn't I just go to Meyer? But I think I probably would have ended up going to Swamp anyway, because that Thieves Town chest is literally the last thing I would have checked. There was no way out for me.
It was the last location, and we had bets going on whether or not you were going to find that Desert small key, the Hera small key, or the Pot big key.
And let's be clear, finishing this seed in 2 hours and 17 minutes is something to be applauded. You did very well.
Thank you. There's so many. Okay, the other thing that annoyed me, there were so many annoying things about this seed. The other thing that annoyed me was I didn't get a sword until an hour in. And I don't know
it's
if
like
I don't know if
53 minutes, if I remember correctly, something like that.
it was pretty
It was
bad.
crazy high for
I don't know if
for any
I don't know if
seed.
the other runner had that, but
The other runner got it after you.
ow, wow.
Thankfully, you guys were blessed with a very early hammer, so you weren't exactly completely defenseless. But still, if you're not used to, we'll call them swordless strats, we'll say, then yeah, it's really annoying.
It was a really nice seed early on because we got the boots early, and then we got the lamp, and we got the glove, and we got the flute, and it just seemed like we were going to be able to move out the game very easily. And then
you hit the wall of not having a mitts.
And then once I got the mitts, I thought maybe the wall's going to be gone now. But then it stayed there because Ganon Tower Big Key, there were like 10 things left in the game for me to check the entire game when I got that big key. I don't know. It was a really stressful seed, and I don't think that I did very well with it. But I appreciate you guys saying nice words.
You did really fine with it, honestly.
I'm happy to be advancing to the next round. Be keeping my chances open. I know that based on the number of people, you're gonna have to go 5-0 to make it into the tiebreaker at the end.
This is Swiss, so like it's not about advancing to the next round. And
right.
I get a really good. I get the feeling that it's actually going to be the 4 and 1s are going to be tiebreakers, and all the 5 and 0s are probably going to get in.
Well, how many people? How many people get into the final stage? It was
8.
4.
8.
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay, so that gives people one loss leeway. Because it was going to be 4, but I think 8 is better. That means there's going to be like a gigantic tiebreaker. The 4 and 1 tiebreaker is going to be
when the tournament was announced, it used to be 4, but since we had 208 entrants, they decided to double it and make it 8. Because otherwise, you'd have the headache of having more persons than 4 being 5-0. And now, how do you decide who actually moves on? You have a race between the 4-0s, the 5-0s, like, that'd be a bit absurd. While it makes more sense to have... Well, I don't know how they're going to proceed with the 4-0s, the 4-1s, but it makes more sense to have a big race of all of them and pick whoever wins those to actually...
That's going to be a really big race. That's going to be like...
Determine who moves on and not who doesn't, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, thank you guys for commentating. I'm going to go back and watch it a bit later. For now, I'm going to go something and just recover from all the trolling of this seed. But
yeah, this seed was very trolly.
And
sorry, say it again.
This seed was very trolly.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well...
Of course, later.
Have a good night. Anyway, Jeff Rexy had to jump out of pod because he was short a small key.
Which is a shame. He has to find the remaining one now. Which might be quite the headache. I actually generally forget where the last key is. But at this point, we know for a fact that it's accessible, and it cannot be in GT, obviously. Oh, and he gets trolled by the dead rocks. If there was one thing I could remove from this game, that. Hands down. If there was one thing that you could remove from the game, what would it be?
If you asked me about a month ago, it would be that one room in Turtle Rock. But...
Oh, yeah. The chomps.
I've finally gotten used to that room.
So, what's your number 2 then?
I'm trying to think.
Oh yeah, there's a small key in Hookshot Cave, and he just got his hookshot. Yeah. So that solves his bottleneck.
Yep, there's a small there's a small key for Total Rock as well, and
he gets his tempered sword. So that helps him a lot. So, and another thing that I didn't mention because of the interview earlier, but when jexreffy actually found finally his big key to pod, he just took a moment to bomb the chest and thieves down.
That was
Yeah,
quite.
I understand him. So now he's going to head towards finally finishing Turlock and landing the finishing blow on Trinix to get his second to last crystal, and then it's back to pod, and with his remaining small key, he's going to be able to finish the dungeon, get his last crystal, and then it's going to be the GD play, because at that point he's also going to be out of locations before then. So we have quite a linear rest of the game for jexreffy, but still very easily can finish under 3 hours, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he said to us earlier that this would be his first race ever, and honestly, for a first race, especially it being Keysanity, I'm really impressed with his play.
Absolutely.
He had a lot of unfortunate deaths at the beginning, and his riding was less than what you'd like because he didn't actually access his fire rod early on. But that was more luck from runnerwatcher, I'd say, than bad luck from jexreffy, since the runnerwatcher did pod with like 2 keys and ended up paying big time just from item placement of the seed. If you had fire rod, things lined up perfectly. If you did not, they were wonky.
I think the big thing that if I were jexreffy, I would get out of this race is that I need to learn hammer jump.
Yeah, hammer jump it's not required 100%, but that one seed where it's convenient, you want to know it.
It's not required, but it is very much.
It's a massive time save.
It's a massive time save, more often than I think. You would think. I would say like 1 in every 3 seeds, hammer jump saves a bunch of time just from not having to dip into pod.
And if your opponent knows it, and you don't, he gains that time difference. If you both know it, then you're at least equal. So, in that in those circumstances, like, you are really happy that you actually know it. Like, it's worth the time. And like all these little, we'll call them sequence breaks, all these little glitches, like knowing dark rooms, bomb jumps, they all add up. And learning something that's really rarely used can feel like a waste of time, but that one time that you need it, then you're just super happy. Like, there's some weekly races that happen where it just lines up perfectly for you to go into, we'll say Misery Mire, and you have everything to do it. You have a cane, you can easily kill Vitreous, no problem, but you don't have the lamp. But if you can actually do the dark room, then the lamp is only a suggestion. And if the lamp ends up being at the troll location, then all the people that cannot do that and are actually looking for the lamp to be able to go back and finish the dungeon, it's an extra trip that you end up not having to do, and you end up saving so much time over all the people that don't know that trick. So being able to do all these things is quite important, especially right now in a tournament setting. Knowing more tricks than your opponent puts you at a huge advantage.
I will counter by saying the hammer jump in Keysanity comes up maybe 1 in every 3 times. The
Yeah, the hammer jump is absolutely much more important than the others. But
the Vitruvius Dark Room will come up one every 20 to 30 times, maybe.
yes,
And
but that one time, because a lot of people don't learn that dark room because it comes up that rarely, right? That one time where it comes up, you just have a massive advantage.
There are two reasons why I haven't learned that bomb jump and have no plans to learn it. The first one is how rarely it actually comes up, with Misery Mire requiring so many items to be able to even get into.
Mhm.
The other big reason I don't learn that dark room is because it is by far the hardest dark room in the game. And I think the next hardest one is not even close in difficulty, that one being the pod dark room.
Which is absolutely why, if it actually ends up being a thing that you can do, and you're the one that knows it, and like 90% of people can't, you just gained a huge amount of time over everyone. So, because it's so rare, it's worth learning. Everything is worth learning, in my opinion. They just have different values. Yeah, Glenn pointed out that the Turome is also quite the headache. Yeah, if you don't have Fire Rod, you cry in that room. It's the one room that personally I don't know how to do really efficiently, so I decide to not do it, period.
Turtle Room has the upside that if you have Fire Rod, you can make it a lot easier.
Yeah, well, if you have Fire Rod, then you legit don't care. It's as if it was normal. Because the other rooms are really easy.
You can't do that in the Mire Dark Room.
No, you can't. But yeah, that one doesn't involve you fighting enemies. It's just like, if you dodge the fireballs at the right time, then you don't actually have a problem. It's just you having a proper feel for the room, and there's proper setups for you to not really have too many problems with it. So, well, that's my personal take on it. So now we see jexreffy actually deciding to take down Muffin.
This makes sense. Before you go into GT, he has to check everything, and at this point he's a key low on pod, and
He found his key for pod actually.
Did
he
really?
found his key into Hookshot Cave.
No, Hookshot Cave had Turtle Room, Turtle
it was the Turtle Rock
key.
one?
Yeah. That's why it ran into Turtle Rock immediately. He is still low on a key.
Oh, well, my bad. Oof, I'm getting tired.
Of course.
So, okay, at this point he's wondering what did I not do. And from his items, he just got the green pendant, so he has to turn it in, right?
It looks like he's forfeiting, and I don't blame him. This seed is not nice. I'm gonna see if he wants to come in for an interview. So, holy goodness, this seed. This seed.
It was fun, I believe. And here we have jexreffy finally joining us in the chat. Jex, you had a little bit of a rough time at the end, but for someone that claimed that it was your first rave, honestly, we were both quite impressed by your performance. Here we have jexreffy finally joining us in the chat. Can you hear us, Jex? Jex. Ooh.
I would make Sure you're not on push to talk, man. I will remind everyone who is still here that there are races happening all over right now. If you enjoyed these, watching these runners, give them a follow. Jexreffy showing us that even if you're new, you can know some tricks and save some time. Um, our restreamer has been Zerlatul or Zertanul. Our
Zertanul, I believe.
Yep, our tracker has been
Darkus.
Darkus.
Darkus had done a fantastic job. Really, I don't think he really missed an item the entire time.
Jex, are you there? Say words.
Oh,
I heard him for a moment.
yeah, I heard something as well. We're experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties with Jax, but we'll try to get this sorted out. Jax, can you hear us? Hmm. Still cannot hear you, in case you hear me.
We heard you for a moment.
All right. Yeah, is your communications device the proper one that you're currently using? Or are you using to push the dog, something like that? I personally cannot remember where the last spot key was, but you did just get the green pennant from Moth, so it could have been the Saha item. I
It wasn't
forget.
Saha, I know that.
It was not, no.
Saha was, I think, Big 20.
Where was it then? With Keysanity and both players going in every directions, it's so difficult to actually keep track of all the small keys and where they were from. So,
Jex, I think we hear you.
oh yeah, we
You
hear
can hear
you.
me?
Yes,
You can hear me now? Okay.
awesome.
Sorry. Oh, okay.
That is a mean seed. This seed was very mean.
I just where so okay. I know it had to be one of three things. It was either the murder dactyls, it was Vitreous, or it was the hook shot in Tower of Hera. Which one did me in?
Honestly, it was. It's not that you did bad. Honestly, you did quite good, despite a lot of death in the early game.
Runner
The
Watcher
thing
dipped
that
into
made it
pod.
Yes, Runner Watcher did a very early pod with only 2 keys and found the Fire Rod. And we didn't think that Fire Rod would matter that much, but in this seed, it routed him from going to Mire, getting the big key to Swamp, and that got him Bombos, that got him the access, the big key to Hera to go there. And that basically routed him perfectly to do Hera into Turok, and from there it was like really easy for him. While you took a long time to actually find the Fire Rod, you did some routing into Skullwoods before, which made it less attractive to go back to afterwards. So I think that's really the big divergence that happened, and everything that happened after that was from there.
Yeah, I mean that was just a very trolly seed, but
Absolutely.
it was like I honestly, like I'm fine. I'm kind of okay with what I did. The execution, like I kind of feel like I screwed up the execution a bit. And yeah, it was I had gotten that mushroom, and at that point I was so frustrated that I forgot to put the mushroom in my tracker, and that was probably what it was. So, because the thing in the funny thing was, like, I made that gamble on ice of going into ice before, without having the big key, and that at that point, like, I knew I was behind, and when that actually got the big key from there, I was like, okay, I might actually be back in this thing, and then I saw it got done. I'm like, no, I'm done.
But you weren't that behind, really. It's just a little bit of back and forth that caused problems,
Mhm.
and some small things that could have been a bit better. Did you know that Fire Rod doesn't hurt Vitreous?
Fire Rod was no. Well, I tried hitting one of the eyeballs with the Fire Rod, and when I saw it not do any damage, I thought that meant okay, Vitreous is impervious to the Fire Rod.
Yes,
And
That's
absolutely.
true. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking that you were being quite ballsy. Go ahead into that fight without the bow or like much
Well,
at
the thing was
all.
that the
Mhm.
thing was I had the bow. The problem was that I used all my arrows in Eastern that I didn't have any saved up for Vitreous. And so when I was making my way in, I realized, oh crap, I only have 10 arrows. And then that's when I was like, I really should have refilled my arrows before I went to Meyer.
On the
So
first visit, did you have the bow?
Yeah, I did. Because I did I think it was I did Eastern and Pod together, and then because I had also missed the Ether Medallion, and so I think it was I did like Desert and Meyer without having the big key. Then at some point I got the big key to Meyer and Eastern, and so I did Eastern first, did as much of Pod as I could, and then went to Meyer to go clear it, and that was why I just only had 10 arrows going into Meyer, and that's what I think did me in with Vitreous, because I realized, oh crap, I only have 10 arrows, I can't beat Vitreous.
Yeah.
So one thing to know about Vitreous is that the big eye takes 8 arrows to take down, and he is not immune to bombs.
You
And
could have
bombs-
used your 40 bombs.
You had 40
Oh.
bombs, so you could have very easily dropped a bomb, threw it at him, ran, dropped a bomb, threw it at him, ran, and killed him like
Wow.
that with 38 bombs.
It takes a while, but it's quite safe because you just stay on the bottom of the room lobbing bombs, and when lightning's coming, you just move to the side. So it's really
Yeah.
difficult for you to take damage. You could have handled the fight that way.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
things you should know. The
Mhm.
Ganon's
Oh
tower.
no! Wait!
You don't want to tell him this?
I have a different way of approaching it. So
Okay.
basically, at the point where your opponent actually got his 7 crystal, there were
Mhm.
only 25 locations left for the GT Big Key remaining in the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Those locations were the 22 in GT, the classic ones. There
Mhm.
were the Tower of Hera basement chest and the Desert Palace 2 chests. So we played a game of guess 1 to 25 where the GT Big Key is. As if it were a normal, standard, or open seed. But for once, we could have actually played the game in Keysanity. So let me make you guess. Where was the GTB key, you believe?
Oh, I'm just because of how trolly this was. I'm gonna guess. Well, see, I commentated a race where the same thing happened earlier, and so I'm just gonna go with what I guessed in that race was the tile room in 22.
It was 21.
It was 21.
Wow.
If you type that in chat, you would have been a winner. So
Wow.
you won something tonight, and you also won. sorry. You also won the respect of most people that watch. For first race, you're really exceeded expectations, I believe.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I did about. I mean, honestly, like to prep for this, I did about 20 regular. I did about 20 regular randomizers, and then when I found out the tournament was Keysanity, I did about 20 Keysanity ones. So like I've got a handle on kind of how to do stuff. It's still just like you saw, like the execution with Vitreous or the execution with other things of just like that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I would watch runs of this because you'll see things that seem really important to do. Knowing that pod can be completed with 4 keys if you have the arrows, have the hammer, and no hammer jump.
I actually knew I made that mistake because that was the whole reason I routed pod the first time I did was to save one, and I was kind of just so fried at that point that the second time I went in and I saw I had 2 keys, I was like, okay, I think I can go the bow route, and I think I can get through this. But like and then as soon as I went through that first door and realized, oh crap, I have 1 key and 2 doors, I was just like, yeah. So
Yeah, it didn't go as expected. So,
yeah.
do you have any last words on this scene? Some things that you want to get off of your chest after everything?
I gotta know something. Did you like when I aggroed that murder dactyl in Meyer? Did you guys notice that I intentionally did that?
Nope.
In Mire?
Yeah.
No, well, we didn't notice that you intentionally did it, but we didn't notice the throw.
Oh no, because the thing was on the Cape Ledge, I got killed by the murder dactyls twice, trying to get the
Oh,
ether
that was your
medallion.
revenge. Yeah, I didn't pick up on that. Oh, yeah.
So
Well,
no. I mean,
Uh,
I'm kind of to just wrap up. Like I'm pleased with how I did. I just
Mhm.
next time I just hopefully we'll route some things and execute a little bit better. So
Yeah, and
you'll
really,
only get better.
you
That's
do,
that's
you
how
yeah.
it works.
you really don't have to worry about the way you performed. And you did admirably for a first time racer. I wasn't playing as good. So to wrap things up, I would like to personally thank our streamer Zertanol. And also our wonderful tracker Darkest that did a wonderful job to tracking everything this seed. I also like to thank my brilliant co-commentator, D2 Camps. It was a
That's
pleasure
me.
to commentate with you.
Again, if you like these runners, follow the runners. That's runnerwatcher and jexreffy. I am D2 Kemps, and I hope you have a good night.
Good night, everyone.